Welcome to the Death of the Org Chart podcast with Jeffrey DeMure, your guide to entrepreneurial freedom. Today, we'll be exploring getting comfortable saying, I don't know. Thanks for joining us, and we hope you enjoy the conversation.
So you've spent your entire professional life getting to the point where you're comfortable saying, I don't know. Hello, friends. Today, I want to talk about something that's really powerful, something that shows a level of professional evolution that goes way beyond confidence, and it goes to a place of profound understanding about who you're with and how you need to show up, or how you can show up, to give you permission to be that consummate, confident, quiet professional that allows the conversation, that allows the initiative to go on to a place of deeper understanding. And what that means is there's times when we're confronted by a question and we legitimately don't know, as professionals, as the people that are being paid to know. And so how easy is that to say, I don't know? But how powerful is it when you do it in the right way, when you do it in a non-aggressive way, when you do it in a non-passive aggressive way, when you do it in a way that opens a door to more possibilities as opposed to closing the door to because you're a millennial and taking responsibility for something is just not something you really care to do. It's not going to change my world. Why should I care? I don't know. That's a totally different form of I don't know. The I don't know I'm talking about is an I don't know that comes from a good relationship, from a comfort level with the people you're working with, even if it's a little uncomfortable at the time. But to be uncomfortably comfortable saying I don't know is really powerful. The difference between doing it with sincerity and doing it with a lack of commitment is just that willingness to take responsibility for working with and through the people and the situation to get to the answer. That is the domain, that is the portal of the right way of using I don't know. So how can this be applied to your business from a practical standpoint? Well, let me talk about the antithesis of the I don't know, and that is the toxic helper, someone that is way too willing to help. And we all know them. In fact, we could be that person, right? Where we're just so anxious to help people that we might not be providing them with the right information. This toxic helper, as I call them, it can be someone that has a very big personality, and they think that they know more about how you should be living your life than you know about how you should be living your life. And they might not have all the information, but that doesn't stop them from telling you or telling your organization how you should live. We have had vendors and consultants that have fallen into the category of toxic helper. And there's certain qualities that a toxic helper has. They don't listen. They don't respond well. Their body language when you're talking about what's important to you is completely closed down. So that's not really help. What that is that's dictating. And we all have had or do have relationships that fall into that category of the toxic helper. They will even say to you, I'm here to help you. Don't you realize that? And they will try to make you feel badly for not letting them impose their values on your business, on your life, on your relationships. So somewhere in between saying all the time, I don't know, and being a toxic helper is a pretty good place to be. Because if you've learned nothing else from these videos and podcasts, it's to have this balanced approach to life. My responsibility, I believe, is to help raise your awareness on how these things fall into your life. Now let's translate it onto the front stage and the backstage. Those of us that work on the front stage and we are just too anxious to say yes all the time. By creating a little white space in the conversation, it doesn't take away from the enthusiasm that we have. In some ways, it creates more enthusiasm, because what it does unconsciously, it allows people to think, to know that you're genuinely thinking about something, and it's important enough to you to not just say the first thing that pops into your head. It's a very honoring way to approach the front stage environment by saying, I don't know. That's a really good question. Can we talk about it a little bit? Or can I bring somebody in that I think might be relevant to this? Or can you give me a moment so I can look at a piece of reference material that might give us a little bit more insight, and then we'll have the knowledge and we can apply that knowledge in a meaningful way? Can we do that? So can you see how that elevates the conversation, and it doesn't take away from the enthusiasm of what has to happen on the front stage? The backstage is populated by a whole bunch of people that have a whole lot of trouble saying, I don't know, because they believe their world is more objective, that it's a science world, that it's based on production and operations and spreadsheets and deliverables, and there's no room for not knowing in that world. I might argue with that. I think there absolutely is room for that. Now, the same thing can happen in the backstage, but it happens in a different way. In that domain, when somebody says, I don't know, it has a certain impact on them by saying it. Our responsibility as managers and leaders is to help them get to a place where that is not a judgment against them, where it doesn't mean that they are less than because they can't answer that question at that time, and to not put people on the spot, right? But to give them the opportunity to do what I've advocated before, is by saying this: you don't know yet, but you can, right? You can figure that out. Well, yeah, if I have, another few hours, I can do that. That's great. Now you've taken something that could have been demoralizing, and you've treated it as doing the one thing that you really need to do as a leader, which is to help people be at their best. And that helps them be at their best by acknowledging the fact that they, on the backstage, have perfectionist issues, and just as leaders do, and being able to say, I don't know, but I can find out, or I don't know yet. I'm confident enough to be able to say, we can figure this out. Now, if you've spent 6 months and hundreds of thousands of dollars of your client's money, and you've gotten to the place where you're 90% done with the assignment, and something really big comes along in terms of the meeting, the presentation, and you don't know there, I might worry about that a little bit. But in the creative environment of the front stage and the closed door part of the backstage, there's a tremendous place for us to be able to say and be successful saying, I don't know.
Thank you for joining us for the Death to the Org Chart podcast with Jeffrey DeMure. Be sure to subscribe on Facebook, iTunes, YouTube, and anywhere you listen to podcasts. To get more information about Jeff, or to order your copy of the book, Death to the Org Chart, go to dttoc.com. Go create the freedom you were meant for.